Hello everyone, my name is Ming. Welcome to another video. When it comes to high megapixel cameras, Nikon has Z7, D850, and then Canon has 5D-SR, Sony has A7R III, and then Fuji has GFX medium format series, and then we have Phase 1 Hasselblad. They are all fantastic cameras, but they are all very expensive at the same time. If you want to get a high megapixel file, maybe you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on the camera body. Maybe you can use some software in the post to increase the resolution, enlarge your photos, and sharpen your photos. So today in this video, we will be looking at the image resize tool in Photoshop, how to use it to enlarge your photo and sharpen your photo. And also we are going to look at another software called Gigapixel AI from Topaz Labs. And we will compare the results from Gigapixel AI to the image resize tool in Photoshop. All right, guys, without further ado, let's jump into the video. All right, now we are inside Photoshop, and the first photo we are going to take a look is this photo taken by Fuji X-T2, 24 megapixel coming out of the camera. And in order to enlarge this photo, you just go to Image and go to Image Size, and this window pops up. And on the right-hand side, you have the settings. So for this photo, I want to change this width to 200%. Okay, and you can see width and the height are currently locked together. So when you change width, it changes height as well. And you can select this percent to pixels, inches, etc. But for this example, I'm going to use percent. So width is currently 200% and height is 200%. So you can see the final output resolution is going to be 10,326 by 7,746. So that's more than 70 megapixel. So it's a big file, and you can see it takes 228 megabytes. That's the file size. And down here, you can change your resample method. So I tried a couple resample methods, and I found for Fuji RAW files, this preserved details works the best for Fuji RAW files. Now I can go to preserve details 2.0. So this is preserve details 2.0. And now I'm going to switch to preserve details. And I think preserve details is a little bit sharper than preserve details 2.0, at least for Fuji RAW files. And then you can have this slider to control if you want to reduce noise further. So I am going to set it to maybe 10%. And then you can preview the effect right here. You can just move around to check if that looks good. All right, I'm gonna click on OK. And overall, Photoshop is very fast producing the final image. All right, this is the final image out of image size tool. And we can go to 100% scale, and we can check that's the 100% scale view. And if you want to sharpen this photo, I will recommend you to create a new layer and then go to Filter, go to Sharpen, and then Smart Sharpen. All right, and this sharpening window pops up, and I'm going to use amount 150, and the radius is 1.5 pixel. You can do 1.5 to 2 pixel because right now this file is currently 70 megapixels. So if you use 1.5 or 2, it's not a big deal. And I would use reduce noise around 10%. And you can left click and hold to see this is before, and then release it, this is after. So it's a little bit sharper than before. Okay, I will decrease this to 5%. This is before, this is after. So I'm not sure if you can see the difference on the YouTube video, but it's just a little bit sharper than it originally was. All right, then I'm gonna click OK. All right, this is the final photo. Let's just move around and see. Overall, I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to compare this to the original file later. This is the second photo we are going to take a look. This is a 24 megapixel file captured by Nikon Z6. And again, same thing, go to image size, and I'm going to increase the resolution by 200% for the width and a 200% for the height. All right, so now it is a 11,000 pixel by 7,500 pixels. So again, more than 70 megapixel for this file right now. And currently I am using preserved details. And I found for Nikon RAW file, actually preserved details 2.0 works better. Now this is preserved details, and I am going to switch to preserved details 2.0. All right, I think overall it is smoother and looks more natural. That's why I like preserved details 2.0 for Nikon Z6 files. And again, I'm gonna use reduce noise 10%, but I don't think I need reduce noise on this file maybe. I'm gonna just keep it, I'm gonna just change it to 0. All right. And I'm gonna move down to check out the tree. All right, this is before, this is after. Slightly different. I'm not sure if you can see this on YouTube, but it's a little bit sharper. All right, now let's go to 100% scale and check out the details on the mountains. It looks all right. And check out the trees. I think it works very well on this tree overall. And if you want to sharpen this file further, you can do that. Just create a new layer and then go to Filter, go to Sharpen, go to Smart Sharpen. And the same thing, I'm going to use 150 as amount, radius 1.5 pixel, and reduce noise 5%. I'm going to just click on OK. All right, now we have this final image. And if you think it's over sharpened a little bit, you can always change the opacity. Maybe I will do around a 70%. This is before, and this is after. I'm gonna reduce the opacity a little bit more. This is before, this is after. Okay, now you can, let's check out this tree. This is before, this is after. I think it looks good. Now we can export this photo. Go to File, Export, Export As, and a new window will pop up. And then you can check the setting on the right-hand side. We want to export it as a JPEG, 100% quality, and you can see the resolution. That's 11,000 by 7,500, and the scale is 100%. So if everything looks good, just click on Export All and select a directory that you want to export it to. This is how you can increase resolution in Photoshop. I think it already works pretty good. Now we are going to take a look at another software called Gigapixel AI from Topaz Labs, and we will check how that compares to the result you can get from Photoshop. All right, this is the interface of Gigapixel AI, and I'm going to show you the setting first. Go to File and then go to Preference, and here is the settings. And the first thing I want to talk about is processing mode. If your computer has a GPU, you can select GPU here. It will render your photo faster. And also you have a setting if you want to use maximum quality AI. So I checked yes. If you don't care that much about the quality, but you want to have the software run faster, you can check no. All right, now you can just click open and select a photo. So let's see, I want to select this photo from this photo taken by Fuji X-T2. So you have this panel, the window on the left-hand side is your original photo, and the window on your right-hand side is going to be a preview, and it's generating currently it's generating the preview. And on the right-hand side, you have the settings. So right now I checked 2 times, which means it will make this photo, it will you will double the width and double the height. So as you can see right here, the resolution is 10,326 by 7,746 sRGB color space. So if I select 4 times, it's gonna 4 times the width and the height. All right, and then coming down here, you have a couple options. You can choose suppress noise. I selected it to none because I found for Fuji files, if you select medium, I think by default it is medium, but for a medium file, I think it removes too much of the texture. So let me grab a area that has some texture in it and let it generate this preview. It's gonna take a little while because it's calculating all the pixels, is applying the artificial intelligence stuff. So now I'm gonna change that to medium, and it's gonna calculate the pixels again. All right, now I have suppress noise set it to medium, and I think at medium, it removed a lot of texture from the original photo, and I don't like that because it make the photo, overall make the photo like a, like a painting. So I'm gonna change that to none, and it just add more details back to the photo. Remove blur, I don't find it makes a big difference, so I'm gonna just leave it as medium. And then you have the option to specify where you want to save the file and the name of the file. And once you are done, and just click on start, and the software will start rendering. All right, now depending on your hardware specs and your setting, it may take a while. And for my computer, it usually takes about between 1 hour to 2 hours to render this photo. Now I'm going to click on start and kick off the rendering. All right, now I have the final image coming out of Gigapixel AI, and I'm going to take that image into Capture One, and then I'm going to compare the result to the photo we got from image resize tool in Photoshop and compare the photos. All right, now we are in Capture One, and we are going to take a look at the first set of photos first. And the top left photo is the original photo, and I am going to 200% on this photo. And the top right photo is the photo out of Gigapixel AI. And then bottom left photo is the photo coming out of the image resize tool in Photoshop. And the bottom right photo is the photo out of image resize tool in Photoshop. And then I applied additional sharpening to this photo. And now let's take a look at all these 4 photos. So this is the original photo, and as you can see, it's the worst among all these 4 photos. And this image resize photo looks sharper than the original, and if you apply additional sharpening in Photoshop, it looks sharper than it comes straight out of the image resize tool from Photoshop. So now I'm going to compare this photo from Gigapixel to this photo from Photoshop with additional sharpening. And overall, I think for this Fuji raw file, I think the photo from Photoshop is more natural. Just look at the texture here and compare to the texture in this Gigapixel photo. I think this photo from Gigapixel looks a little bit wormy. I'm referring to those wormy artifacts that you normally you will see from Lightroom if you don't sharpen the photo correctly in Lightroom. That's some wormy artifacts. It looks very similar to those. Let me just move around. I'm gonna go to this area. So in this area, I think it looks pretty good on this Gigapixel AI photo. I think overall it is sharper than the photo from Photoshop, but the photo from Gigapixel still has a little bit wormy artifacts or some artifacts that makes this photo overall a little bit less natural compared to the photo from Photoshop. Let's move on to some foreground subjects, some foreground texture. Again, you can see this one from Gigapixel. I think it is sharper than this one, but it has some, you can see some vertical dots, some vertical lines around these edges, which doesn't seem very natural to my eyes. Now let's take a look at the second set of photos. And again, the top left photo is the original photo. The top right photo is the photo from Gigapixel AI. And the bottom left photo is the photo from image resize tool from Photoshop. And the bottom right photo is the photo from image resize tool in Photoshop with additional sharpening in Photoshop. And I'm going to, first of all, open up this original photo, change to 200% to match the rest of the photos. And then this is the photo from Gigapixel AI. Go to the same area. And then the photo from image resize tool from Photoshop. And then the image from resize tool plus additional sharpening in Photoshop. All right, so now this photo, remember this photo was taken by Nikon Z6, so it's Bayer sensor raw file. See if that makes any difference compared to the Fuji raw file. All right. So as you can see, the original photo is still the worst among the four. And then overall, I think the image resize tool in Photoshop already does a very good job, as you can see if you compare these two photos. But of course, if you apply additional sharpening, it's going to look a little bit sharper. So now I'm going to compare that to the Gigapixel AI photo. So for Nikon Z6 or for Bayer sensor raw files, I don't see the artifacts. I don't see any wormy artifacts at all. And let's move to the tree in the foreground. The original photo is the worst, and then the resize photo from Photoshop with additional sharpening looks pretty good, and also the Gigapixel AI photo looks pretty good, and they both look very natural in this case. Okay, and then let's move to some edges. All right, so we have a tree near the edge. Again, I think the results from Gigapixel AI and Photoshop are actually very close. At least if you just want to double the resolution, the results are pretty close. And some other tree areas. Okay. I'm gonna move around to some other areas. Overall, I think they both look very good. And if you don't tell me, I probably wouldn't tell the difference between Gigapixel AI and the image resize tool plus sharpening in Photoshop. All right, guys, as you can see, I think both Photoshop and the Gigapixel AI can produce decent results. If you are a Fuji user, I would recommend to stay with Photoshop because even though Gigapixel AI can give you sharper results, but sometimes it might introduce artifacts to your photos. And Photoshop already gives you pretty good results. So I would recommend Fuji users to stay with the image resize tool in Photoshop. But for Nikon users or maybe Canon, Sony who use a Bayer sensor, I think it's really up to you. I don't really see much a difference between the Gigapixel AI and the image resize tool in Photoshop. Maybe the strength of Gigapixel AI is when you want to enlarge your photo by 3 times, 4 times, 6 times. Maybe when doing that, you will see the advantage of using Gigapixel AI. But just for this test, when I enlarge the photo 2 times in both program, I don't see much a difference. But feel free to download the Gigapixel AI. It gives you a free trial. So after the free trial period, then you can decide if you want to buy the software. All right, guys, that's it from me today. If you are interested in Gigapixel AI from Topaz Labs, check out the link in the description below. And if you like this video, please click on the thumbs up button below. And if you are the first time on my YouTube channel, please consider subscribing for more photography tips and tricks and tutorials. All right, guys, I hope you enjoy photography. See you next time. Bye.